Alright, you guys, so I think from this time on, I'm just gonna make like a drawn illustration on the back of my computer, like on screen drawings or something, or maybe like draw on a paper or something, because the lousy camera, you know, quality, I guess, is not acceptable. But in this video, I am covering wireless attacks, how to attack a wpa2 management slash enterprise slash radius network. What is a radius network? Well, it's basically, at its simplest state, a wireless network that requires both a username and a password. Now, usually they can add additional defenses against our attack that we have right here, like server to client certificate validation, and also client to server certificate validation. Because sometimes they want to just have the client double check them to make sure that they're actually connected to a legitimate hotspot, as mentioned in the certificate. That's one way, but then we could just go steal the certificate somehow. Or we can use Wi-Fi Fisher, which would just steal the clear text passwords, but that's another lesson. Now, this is a basic radius attack. It's kind of complicated. You need at least 2 of the Atheros 9271 penetration testing adapters that I told you to buy at the beginning of the course. So let's go over what a radius network is. Like UNLV Secure right here, it would probably be using a wireless distribution system, WDS, wireless distribution system. This is all the same hotspot, but hotspot over here, here, and here, they all use radius authentication. And we have a radius server right here that has a database of allowed logins to authenticate. Now, what we are going to do, and this requires 2, let me reiterate this, it requires 2 of the penetration testing wireless adapters. We will have one create a jamming signal, either directly at one of the hotspots or against a targeted user, which we can actually see, an arrow dump as a MAC address. The second wireless penetration testing adapter, WLAN2, is generating a rogue hotspot that looks exactly like the rest of these hotspots, except for one thing. Even though we altered our MAC address to look just like it, it's just the last digit that's going to be different. We can never ever have 2 of the same exact MAC addresses in the same area, because then it will just be a tug of war kind of fight where, which one has a stronger signal, and then they'll just be dragging the clients back and forth. Nothing will get done, and it would definitely alert the incident response teams. So we have 2 interfaces. One's jamming, one's projecting a rogue hotspot. The jamming interface de-authenticates, de-auth. It's not doth, it's de-auth, de-authenticates, which means it kicks either a user or an entire group of users off the wireless hotspot. Now, normally the user is supposed to send the username and password, encrypted, unfortunately, through the air, so it could be verified by the radius server. However, we are going to, because we're closer to our target, we're going to trick them into connecting to our nearly identical, not exactly identical, but nearly identical rogue hotspot. It will send the encrypted username and password to us. We will parse that out of our logs. And here's the beauty of it. So we're going to use a password cracker called Asleep. Asleep, A-S-L-E-A-P. I got to spell this because it gets so crappy. Asleep. The beauty of this is it doesn't need a GPU to crack the password. It uses an acceleration attack to rule out unlikely passwords, kind of like how we covered Reaver. But this will crack about 10 million passwords in 20 minutes from a CPU, not a GPU. CPU, no video cards required. So we will crack a unwitting victim, just retarded dope that connected to our rogue hotspot. We'll crack their handshake, we'll crack their password, then we can use their authentication now to authenticate to the WDS, assuming it's UNLV Secure. I'm going to actually create my own radius network to demonstrate this attack. Now, what could we do if they're implementing server to client or client to server certificate validation. Well, and I'm actually speaking this earshot at the UNLV library. We can trick IT into downgrading. We can cause serious issues. We can multiply the amount of routers. We can make it look like that maybe it's to grant the rest of the students internet access that they have to downgrade back to WEP. That's basically handing the I win button all over to us. Or we can flood. We can do beacon flooding. We can pick some victim that we see in this list, of users that we already mentioned. We can see on arrow dump. We can now impersonate them. We can make it look like they were the ones that are doing this. Using beacon flooding, authentication floods, with the MDK3 framework. What else? We can brute force the whitelisted MAC addresses, so I can always have a backup key in my hand. I can always provide an uplink as well if I wanted to, so I can also sniff for credentials once they authenticate to us. But for this exercise, we are not going to have a working uplink back to the internet. We just want to farm this moron right here for their creds, so we can crack them. All right. So don't get too excited. Make sure you got 2 wireless adapters. Make sure you test them. Make sure they work. And after this, we will be talking about Wi-Fi Fisher. Thank you.